This intro is pretty incredible. It looks like an anime you'd see on Cartoon Network in the early 2000s. It's also really reminiscent of Shogo's intro. In Discord, I refer to this game as Italian Shogo, because Prograph, the developers of this game, is an Italy-based company, if you couldn't tell by the credits. Anyway, this game is called First Century after Tsunami 2265. Most online sources drop the First Century part, but the game's box art has that prefix, so I'm pretty sure that's part of the title. Whatever. Tsunami came out in 2002. I tried to do some research about development, but press coverage is sort of lacking, other than the fact that it got terrible reviews. GameSpot, for example, gave it a 2.6 out of 10. Once the cool intro is over, you get to the main menu. Here you can look at some of the characters, but it gives you no backstory, just height and weight and stuff. The controls are rebindable, which in this case is real simple as there's hardly any functions. This is your first indicator that this is one bland game. The game starts with some exposition dumps.
Shinbalhei became the capital of the earth. The imperial family reigned unchallenged over the ashes of the earth. All power was in the hands of the shogun and his imperial deputies, who controlled the feuds that made up the empire. Shinbalhei used the energy shortage to keep the provinces under control. In 2177...
This also reminds me of how Shogo starts, except the text there doesn't move and there's not a narrator. Anyway, the plot is just about a future where there's like an energy crisis going on, and off the coast of Japan they found some cool energy source, and now you're working for one government to go steal it from another government. I think anyway. I fell asleep during this. It goes on forever. The start of each mission also has a quote, and then the mission just begins, and with yet another cutscene. Here we're introduced to the first character you play as, Samurai. While in the mech, Samurai decides to do some training. This is your tutorial, so to speak. Even though the game doesn't tell you any controls, there's also no way to check controls once in-game. I hope you have the manual handy, or you checked out the controls and the options in the main menu. But again, there's not many functions, so the caveman method of just smashing the keyboard will give you the gist. You got primary fire, then you got secondary fire, which is 3 missiles. It sometimes locks on the targets, but you have no control over this. This tutorial mission takes place in a maze-like corridor where you have to find that one objective that's probably down a dead end. It was in this training mission that I discovered that jumping is jank, and by that I mean, if you land on some geometry at a certain angle, you'll just die. It happened to me on another level too. Great game. After the training mission is over, you get some more exposition dumps from Samurai and... not gonna lie, I forgot this dude's name. This goes on for a while, but the gist is that you gotta break Ronan out of jail to learn how to bypass the security at some other place to do something. I don't know, shut up. This is your first real level, in the mech, in the real world, fighting other mechs. It's a canyon, which is cool, I guess. This canyon is basically a maze-like corridor where you have to find that one objective that's probably down a dead end. And what's worst is these dead ends are twisty and windy and long for no reason except to just waste your time. Enemy AI is brain dead. You can run right past them if you want. They won't chase you. They also all act the same and seem to take the same amount of shots, so there's no real diversity in gameplay. The same 2 attacks and the same enemies over and over again. This canyon level really sucks. Since it's just rocks and landscapes, you don't really feel a true sense of scale. One of the best parts about mech games is the scale. When tanks become the size of toy cars, that's what makes the whole experience awesome. It's not a mech game unless you're trampling whole neighborhoods fighting other 2-story sized machines. Why pick a canyon with no ordinary human vehicles or enemies to give a sense of scale? Imagine Titanfall 2, Titans Only mode, on a flat map with rocks. It'd lose all atmosphere. I mean, even throw in some trees, that would help. You get to a base, and this is supposedly where you're supposed to free Ronan from. And then you find this little thing to blow up to create a hole so your character can jump down and free him. And this seems like a normal-sized building from the outside. This doesn't feel like anything huge. Are you in a mech or just an exoskeleton? This is so stupid. The next level is the on-foot section, like another game that has both mech and on-foot segments. This is where Tsunami went from ultra-boring third-person shooting to really bad third-person shooting. First, the controls are terrible. When you press forward and then let go, Samurai goes another step or so before stopping. The first Sniper Elite had this crap too, but at least there it felt deliberate. Like, I think I had someone tell me it was because in real life, humans just don't stop dead in their tracks. There's a little bit of momentum. But even then, it's also an awesome game, so it's easier to tolerate. Here, it's just annoying that she continues to move after you've let go forward. The next weird janky mechanic is holstering Samurai's one weapon, the pistol. You can only interact with objects with your gun holstered. Why? I don't know, but you can't even pick up key cards unless your gun is holstered. What, can Samurai not use her free hand? The pistol's effective at killing, but also the AI is pretty dumb. They don't really react to you until you're in their line of sight or you're shooting them. I didn't die from gunfire the entire time I was on foot. While the pistol does the job, and there isn't really a need for more weapons, it's still very dull that this is the only one that you use. It would be nice to have a change of scenery. These levels are basically maze-like corridors where you have to find that one objective that's probably down a dead end. But it gets worse. Each area has its own one-time use keys that go to certain door controls. So you might find some security keys that go to a security panel that opens up some kind of gate or door, but that key has been used, it's done for. And when you go to the next area, you have to find another set of security keys. Like, I get this is a base, and there's probably, like, some security protocols going on here, but they didn't have to overdo this idea. Because it leads to you backtracking every single section of the level, every single part of it. One time I was wandering around like a crazy person trying to figure out where I was supposed to go, and I just so happened to see this key barely floating in the inbound area. So keys might spawn out of bounds and become unreachable. I wouldn't be surprised if it was easy to softlock yourself in this game. Anyway, you free Ronin. In the next level, you get to play as him, but on foot. The only difference is that he shoots with his left hand. Anyway, as soon as I saw several locked doors that required keys in the first few minutes, I quit. I really don't want to key hunt again. I feel like I've seen everything I need to see and the gameplay isn't going to change. Now look, I get it. Key hunting to open up doors was something that was happening for a long time up until this point. You know, there's this game called Doom. I don't know if you ever heard of it, but it was essentially key hunting. But at least there was like variation in the levels, and it was fun, and it was kind of quaint, you know, and it had an excuse for it. It was 1990, you know, whatever. But this is 2000 whatever, man. The Half-Life has been out by this point. Many shooters have been out that have kind of diverse objectives and understand pacing and all this stuff. This game is... It's so boring. I would say don't play it. I don't think you're missing anything. The story's really not worth playing it through, and the cutscenes, you know, aren't that great. All the style and amazingness about it was really in the intro, as there's nothing else beyond that. A valid attempt from Prograph, I guess, but this is a pretty awful game, which explains its obscurity. I had found this game in one of a bundle buys I did, and then I streamed it for a Trash Friday and was hoping that maybe I uncovered a gem. But really, I just uncovered another bad game in a sea of bad games that I happen to have in my collection. Calling Tsunami 2265 Italian Shogo is almost an insult to actual Shogo. But hey, at least it's got good music.
It's gonna be forever, 'cause we lost a little smile when we needed some.